A and S.
Guys, I need to go to Jones.
I imagine Nick Houy running around Boulder with his ragtag group of flanneled filmmaker friends, heading to Jones Drug on the hill to get the latest footage from his Super 8 camera developed. The place smells of processing chemicals, popcorn, and home, a nostalgic alchemy that returns to Nick with just a shutter close of his eyes. I can't imagine what it was like to be among the first to see the script that had little girls smashing baby dolls against the rocks as a life-size Barbie emerges at the dawn of woman. How it felt to be in those rooms that would shape a moment in cinematic her story in fresh and radical ways. Action. But this is exactly what Nick Houy did, with the opposite of Kenergy, and not one whiff of hubris. Nick, now a badass film editor in New York, is living this childhood dream for real, and I am lucky to call him friend, even if he doesn't know yet that we're besties. Tim, did that sound stalkery? On the Ampersand, we call this bringing together of the impossible the alchemy of anding. Together, we'll hear stories of humans who imagine and create by colliding their interests. Rather than thinking of and as a simple conjunction in that conjunction-junction kind of way, we will hear stories of people who see and as a verb, a way to speak the beautiful when you intentionally let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. As St. Mary Oliver asks, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Oh, I love this question. When I'm mothering, creating, and collaborating, it reminds me to replace a singular idea of what I think I should become with a full sensory verb about experiencing. I'm Erika Randall. And this is Nick Houy on the Ampersand.
You know what's an interesting one is when I met Lois Smith, because she was in Lady Bird, she was like the nun.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
that
wait.
is who set you back?
Well, yeah, you were in East of Eden with James Dean. You kissed James Dean and like hung out with him. And she was just like, yeah, he's the coolest. What can I say?
Oh, she's still, that's, yeah, he was the coolest. Yeah. Okay. Did you go like this towards her mouth? Like, can I,
kind
if
of,
I,
yeah.
if I just.
Well, you're just like, it seems unreal, you know?
Yeah.
It's, when you watch that movie, you're just like, I can't believe I met that woman. Those are those moments where you're just like, that's totally surreal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Especially when you've been a fan of film for so long and you literally grew up with these people.
Yeah.
Wallace Shawn asked me for directions on the streets of New York when I was at Juilliard, and he said, do you know where the Walter Reed Theater is?
Why would he need to know? He's the one. I would ask him.
Well, and I looked at him and I said, me from my glass, you from yours. And his wife was cracking, and it was right behind us was the funny part. We were standing in front of it. So I felt like he just wanted to meet me. I don't think he actually needed directions.
That's sweet.
It was super sweet. I know, but I'm such a Princess Bride fan that I couldn't believe, like there, and I don't get starstruck a lot. I just kind of think you're going to meet movie people. They're human people and they live in the world.
Yeah, it's not inconceivable.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
My kids watch that movie all the time. They love it.
They love it. Did they hate that one? Or do you, as an editor, hate inconsistencies in film? Like that moment when his hair, when he's dunking him in the water and his hair's in front of his face, and the next scene, it's not. You know what? Does that make you crazy? I found an
Not at all. No.
It doesn't make you crazy?
No, I don't care at all about that stuff.
You don't?
Because I always think of it as it's all fake, you know. It's like it doesn't have to pretend to be real.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the famous thing is like Marty and Thelma are all about that, and a lot of people just aren't about that, and so it's just you kind of like, which side are you on?
So you're not a perfectionist in that way.
No, and why? Who cares about continuity? 99% of people don't notice it unless they watch the movie 100 times, and then that means you've already won them.
Yeah,
so
and then you're welcome.
It didn't deter them. Yes.
That's right.
And then it's a fun little bonus.
That's right. And then it becomes an Easter egg, and then it becomes something that I found that moment when, Yeah, I love that idea too. And it probably makes your cut maybe feel a little more free because you're not just stuck on the continuity. You're looking for the right motion, the right shot.
Exactly. It's all, Walter Murch, lists the reasons for a cut, which is really nice. And number one is emotion, and, way further down is continuity.
Way further down. How does it go? It goes emotion.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Even number two, make it up in Nick Houy's list. What are you cutting for?
Character, story, but emotion is number one.
Yeah. And that kind of comes down to that thing about, you're only as good as your editor, that old adage that actors actually are just, they could look terrible if you made them, like you cut away. Do you feel that? Like you're working in partnership? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and you're always cutting terrible versions of their performances at your first pass, because you're just buried in dailies and you're trying to get onto the next pass. So very well how bad you can make them look.
So you could blackmail like Ryan.
Sure. Well, there's some actors where everything they do, even just watching their dailies, is like, I could just get popcorn and just sit and watch their dailies because it's so entertaining. You could have people pay. I always say that, you should just release these dailies. Yeah. You would make a killing. Just you don't have to edit them at all. And no one ever listens to me.
Whose dailies? If you had a show called The Daily Show, and you didn't get in trouble with other people for that title, what would it be? Who would you start with?
I mean, everything on this movie I've been working on now, all the dailies were hilarious. It's like Matt Bomer is amazing. Keanu Reeves does amazing, funny stuff.
Keanu Reeves is actually hilarious. He was terrible in Dangerous Liaisons, so I'm sorry, Keanu. That wasn't your best work, but I love you always.
I'm sure the dailies were really fun to watch, though.
Yeah, I'm sure they're really fun to watch.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you suffer things that you have to cut that you love, though? You talked about, the bear scene in Barbie that had to get cut with Ken. Do you have a flip book of those moments that end up on the floor that were good, but they just slowed down the pace of the film?
Of course. I mean, that's constantly what you're doing. And it's even little looks, little words, let alone whole scenes or parts of scenes, huge chunks of sometimes a whole storyline in a movie. Like on this one I was just working on, we completely, we ditched 40% of the movie and reshot 30% of it,
Was that the Jonah Hill film that you were working on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just, some movies you drastically change. It's almost just like writing multiple drafts. It's that fluid.
Wow. The final montage you write, or you talk a lot about in Barbie in tons of interviews. And I don't need to regurgitate other interviews about what it was like to watch people's home movies and all the things, but you said this really powerful thing where you said you never could have shot something that beautiful, cutting to the core of what it is to be a person and have a family and have loss and just exist in the world. And you were talking about kind of found footage and how it holds a thingness. Are you always kind of chasing that? Or, just talk to me about then how do you live in the world without a camera in your hand? It was such a beautiful statement what you said, but it also made me feel a little, made me feel manic, because that's the direction I tend to go when I feel something heightened. What does that do for you when you kind of realize that resonance in found footage versus that of the artificial or the created, like you were talking about earlier?
I think two things. It's one is that even if you're working in non-found footage, let's say dramatized acting and things, you're still always looking for that real thing.
Yeah.
I'm cutting a scene yesterday that, you have the eyes sort of tilt down, tilt back up. And not scripted, never done in any other of the takes, and it's just, you can see the character realizing that something's dying inside of him. And you're I gotta use that, and you gotta figure out how to use it. And so that's a moment that's pure, it's a great actor, obviously, but it's also just feels very natural.
Yeah.
And so finding all of those moments are super important. So I'm always doing that, I think, is trying to find the thing that feels real, because a lot of it does, but the things that feel most real.
So it's still found footage. It's just found footage in dramatized scenes.
Yeah. That's a perfect way to put it. I've never thought about it that way. And then the second thing I'll say is the way that you can go about life without always having a camera, which I try not to do. Like when I travel and stuff, I try not to be looking through a camera. Is, the thing that makes it difficult is like if you haven't seen that movie Saturday Night. Have you seen that yet? The Jason Reitman movie that just came out. It's really good. It's about Saturday Night Live's first night. And it's really great. And Gilda Radner is a great character in it. And she says at one point, like sitting at the ice rink in Rockefeller Center, she says something like, I feel like I already missed this moment. Like I already feel nostalgic for this moment. And you're like, and so that is a problem, obviously, that some people have. And I've definitely had that problem. And I think what you have to learn to do is just sort of make your mind a camera for a moment and just take it in, really be present for it, and then try to remember it. And I have a terrible memory, but really just try to lock that one away, because there is something removed when it is a video or a photograph, I think.
Yeah.
There is something removed from that.
It's
there's
framed.
Something special about it, keeping it in your perspective that obviously will shift over time, but it's still just yours,
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting too, to try to, that's how I can walk around without using a camera all the time, but I do it too much probably.
And those shifts of memory are actually some of my favorites. The way we
it can be dangerous, but yes.
It can be dangerous, especially if you're like married and you have you're in an argument. But I have the 13-year-old said last summer, Mom, this is the last summer of my childhood.
Yeah.
And like was already in the movie of the last summer of his childhood. And I was like, oh, buddy, it's a heavy thing. But then there's that thing of missing something already while it's happening.
Yeah.
But that can also act as like a really heavy book to your heart and press it in even deeper sometimes. So, it's the joys and the glories of being deep feelers and seers of things. And as a little rascal in Boulder, Colorado, you were running around and creating these worlds. Did you know you wanted to be in film, or was it really just a way to be in the world at that time? Did you see it as a career?
I don't think I thought about it like that, really. It was more just like, oh, it's fun. It feels like a magic trick, sort of, I think that's what it felt like. It was like, oh, I can just make myself laugh and make my friends laugh. And we would just write little scripts and act them out, or just like shoot little, stop motion animations and also just shooting everything that we were doing, climbing up, Mount Sanitas and all that. It felt natural. I don't think I was thinking about like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Okay.
And then eventually, because I went to,
you went to school for it,
in Boulder. Yeah. And it's such a great school there, and worked at IFS and everything. And it just felt like a New York sensibility. So I was like, well, I'll just go to New York and see if I can keep doing this kind of stuff in New York.
And then you ran into Greta Gerwig on the street. She was dancing down the street. She tripped and fell into your arms.
Yeah, New York is full of that kind of thing. Like Wallace Shawn, just wandering around.
Yeah, I know. It's just the kismet of Manhattan. But how did you trip into that relationship, or what was that fall like?
That was I think it's a great lesson for anyone who is trying to have the ability to do the kinds of things you want to do. I had coworkers that we all started from the bottom, when we were in our early 20s in New York.
Wait, what does the bottom look like when you say started from the bottom?
It's like you're a PA, or you're working at a facility just moving furniture and making coffee and stuff like that.
You mean you didn't just like walk
and stuff.
Yeah, you didn't just walk onto a set and be famous. This is what we have to tell our students. This is like, you have to show up first, right? You keep showing up.
You got to do all the stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, some people can just step right into editing if they're very lucky to just meet or be directing their own stuff that hits really, it's just, you never know what's going to hit, and you'll continue to do it. So most people have to work their way up and learn on the job, which I think is actually useful. But so just knowing all of those people, and we got each other jobs that's, or interviews, and so that I feel lucky that I was just able to get the interview and then, go from there. And that's the same with all the directors I've worked with. You're just lucky to get the interview, and then if you guys see things in an interesting way together, then you'll work together and, give each other space to be creative and be your own person, hopefully.
That sounds like you just go on a lot of first dates.
Well, maybe like once a year, maybe twice a year.
Okay, that's pretty hot. So that's pretty hot. Yeah. But your first date with Jonah, was it like you and did you just?
Oh yeah, we hugged the whole time.
The whole time you were talking and telling story and just like all in there, just in your hoodies, just.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that.
No, but I do remember him giving me a big high five as we were leaving, which was fun.
With a good smack sound, like a really solid,
a real high five, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you have stories that you want to tell, Nick, that are yours, that are, no?
No, not really.
No, you got nothing in there. There's just nothing you want to say to the world, no letter you want to pen Emily Dickinson style, no?
I'd much rather be the person, like you hand me the block and I'll start sculpting it.
You're the Rodin.
I don't want to be out there getting the block. I don't know what it is. I just really like doing the work, and finding the emotion in it and finding what's special about it. I like doing that. Whereas writing, I feel like it's almost too wide open. It's really hard to write for me because it's just, you could do anything. I like to have something in front of me that I can then do anything to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes you, why. Well, that probably makes you an amazing collaborator for the human who wants to be starting with the nothing and then they build the something and then you cut into it. That's, if you had too much of the other ambition, it could maybe make you go ram to ram. And in this way, it makes you I would imagine a pretty incredible human to collaborate.
Piece. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So, how do you see yourself like a time traveler? Is time totally fucked for you as an editor? Do you believe in linear time? How does time exist for you as a human or in film, or has editing film warped your sense of chronological time?
That's a good question. I don't know. I always feel like I never have enough time for anything, but that's just part of being a busy dad, I think. No, I mean, I've always thought about it the same way, sort of. So it's like music or photography or editing movies or shooting movies. You're always playing with time. So it hasn't changed the way I think of things because it's just always been built in, I think.
And as a kid, you had a miraculous inner life that allowed you to not feel lonely. Is that what I can infer from that last from my research and just looking at some of the material?
Psychoanalyzed an only child, yes.
Oh, who grew up with a single mom, in a hippie house and watched French film. I'm not going to do it. You're going to do it. That's what you do. And I used to get quiet and I just sit back and twirl my pencil. And Nick, what was it like in your imagination? Did you always know that you had a backdrop behind you or that the things in your room were props and part of a mise en scène, or did you?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. It's just, when you're really little and you have access to a camera, which I feel lucky to have had, and Super 8 cameras and stuff, I could just shoot Super 8 and go to Jones Drug on the hill, process it, and then put it in a projector and project it on my wall. I didn't need anything else. So it was just I would feel lucky to have been able to live in that way as a kid and be in a band and play drums and just, so it all just felt like an amalgamation. It felt very natural. Yeah, it wasn't like I was thinking about it. It was fun just to mess around, and it still is,
I love that. That is the most nonchalant, awesome way of just living into your life. We're I just went to Jones on the Hill, processed my film, was in a band, played drums, created the scores for my film, made music videos, just projected it on the back of the garage. It's just what I do. That's just kind of not as normal as you think, my friend, is the thing.
I didn't have a garage. We were just in a little one-bedroom apartment, but we would, project onto the wall. And it was cool because you really could find old guys who had old projectors and cameras and stuff that would just sell them to you at King Soopers, you know.
I love it. And when I think about Jones, R.I.P., I danced outside the day they closed it down. And we brought our dance class out with drums, and the owners came out and just cried. It was so beautiful. It was one of those things that if you'd shown up with a Super 8, it would have been a great documentary about Jones and the popcorn machine. We'd all run to get the popcorn a place that develops film and has popcorn. It's made for movies.
Yeah, definitely. That smell, you just reminded me. That combination of smells.
Right.
And I worked in the environmental design building in the darkroom too. So that whole area, it's really a small little pocket there.
Yep.
It smells like Fixer to me.
Yeah, like deep ink. Yeah. And now it's a Starbucks. I know. I'm sorry. But we did try to resist. I did bring the resistance because, and we still call it Jones. You want to meet at Jones? And knowing very well that we're meeting at a Starbucks. When you were a kitten, you were watching film with your mom. She was your first kind of gateway to cinema.
And my dad too.
Your dad also
him showing me Kubrick movies when I was way too young to be watching them. Yeah.
Do you remember your first film? I remember mine in the theater. Do you remember the first thing you went to see?
Well, the one that I always say stick with me is The Double Life of Veronique, because I was
La Double Vie de Veronique. It's so fucking good.
But it's weird to remember it from a 4-year-old's point of view. I shouldn't have been watching it. But
Tell me you didn't see Betty Blue at 4. I was 14 at least when I watched that one.
No, I don't remember when I saw that.
Talk about a score. Oh my God.
It's beautiful.
It's so beautiful. Thanks for being the 4th person I've ever talked to in my life who understands the beauty of that. Yeah. It's funny. I remember being too young to watch Flashdance in the theater.
Oh, yeah. I would sneak into movies all the time. And obviously in Boulder. And I remember sneaking into shows at the Boulder Theater, too. And I was trying to because I have a distinct memory of seeing Outkast in the Boulder Theater when I was a kid.
Yep, they played there because I don't know if you listened to one of our episodes.
That's what made me think about it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, but I looked it up and I couldn't find what year that was.
I'm sure Francois knows. We'll find out and then we'll...
I was trying to figure it out and it didn't make sense. The timeline didn't make sense.
Because you would have been 6 or something like that.
No, I was older than that.
In 91... 90,
so I was 9.
Sneaking into the Boulder. How do you sneak into the Boulder Theater? Let's pretend you're 11. Let's pretend you're a scrappy, redheaded, bespectacled 11-year-old and your buddies.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And do you sneak in the back? Do you sneak in delivering? What's your move? What's the movie of Nick sneaking into the Boulder Theater?
Even into all age or non all ages shows. So here's my trick, and I think I'm allowed to say this now because it's been so long.
100%.
Is if real Boulder diehards remember the Boulder Planet, which was a weekly newspaper that had an office that was basically in the Boulder Theater. And my mom was a copy editor there at the newspaper. So we would just go visit my mom, and there was literally just a door into the Boulder Theater, and we would just say, hey, we're going to go in here, while you're working.
And she didn't even know?
Sometimes maybe she turned her head, and I'm not going to, collude her in this. It was definitely our doing. And, we would do, and also at Munzinger when we were kids too, we would always sneak into Munzinger and watch IFS films. But then I ended up working for them later, so it's okay.
It's okay.
And I do feel bad about that. But it's also if kids want to have to sneak into things to have cultural experiences, I think that should be allowed.
I think it 100% should be allowed.
A more innocent time.
It was a more innocent time. I remember the movie I snuck into at the Ohio Theater turned out to be, you can't get more innocent, The American in Paris.
Oh, that's sweet.
It was so sweet. And I sat in the balcony, and it was in this huge, gorgeous theater. And that's the memory from behind of my head watching the movie in this amazing theater. And then years later, being in a dressing room next to Leslie Caron and being like, oh my God, this is it. Either I have died or this is it. Okay, but now it is time to play the quick and dirty, where you really do have to try to win. In the quick and dirty, you have to say and, meaning I'm going to say this and that, or you have to say a word with and in it. So if I was going to say songs to fall asleep to, Mr. Sandman, and sand has and in it. Okay, so like that. All right, so a movie about a toy or toys from your childhood.
Should it have the and in it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
I know.
Yeah, I don't have this kind of brain, but I'll try.
You can go. Like if you, like for me, it would be like Teddy and Rosie, who I gave the haircut to. So it would be like The Adventures of Teddy and Rosie. That would be my movie.
Oh, so you can just make it up. It doesn't have to be a real
100%.
movie.
This is your made up. I want toys from your childhood put into a movie and you title it. Go.
He-Man and the Sand Trap. Hey, it had and in it.
Double. You totally
Whoa.
won. And we edited out your answer to make it sound faster already. Okay. While you're editing, what are your food and beverage requirements?
Seltzer and almonds.
Okay. Articles of clothing that you wear that scream Coloradan in New York.
My REI backpack, I guess, and with the CU keychain.
That's perfect. I love that. What are some of your, I don't even know if this is going to be possible, but favorite movies that have and in the title?
Antoine and Colette.
Ooh.
Lovely.
Lovely. Lovely.
Wallace and Gromit.
Wallace and Gromit. Did you listen to the ampersand episode where we talked to an astrophysics student who got to name tertiary craters on the moon and named them Wallace and Gromit?
That's great.
Because of
The
cheese.
moon is made of cheese also.
See?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's perfect. Okay, this is the time on the show where you're going to give a Nick Houy send-off. It could be to your kids on an adventure. It could be to a graduating class at CU. And you'll say, and may your cuts be swift. And you're like that. And it starts with and, as if it's kind of the last line of the thing. And it's going to ring out for eternity. No pressure, go.
And may you be true to yourself as you go forward and listen to what you really want and what you think is important and not be deterred by all the other crap.
That was Nick Houy on the ampersand. For more about Nick and his creative work, see our show notes.
The Ampersand is a production of the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Colorado Boulder. It is written and produced by me, Erika Randall, and Tim Grassley. If there are people you'd like us to interview on the Ampersand, do please email us at asinfo@colorado.edu. Our theme music was composed and performed by Nelson Walker, and the episodes are recorded at Interplay Recording in Boulder, Colorado. I'm Erika Randall, and this is the Ampersand.